Frontline is a presentation of the Documentary Consortium.
Tonight on Frontline, a critical essay on the Japanese challenge to American business.
If you're an American business in a high-tech industry competing with the Japanese, you are in the business of going out of it.
Some critics say Japanese companies are practicing predatory capitalism. Others argue they're only beating us at our own game.
We need a desert storm from American industry.
Tonight on Frontline, losing the war with Japan.
With funding provided by the financial support of viewers like you and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. This is Frontline.
Good evening. I'm Robert Krulwich. Earlier this month, President Bush canceled a trip to Japan and the Far East to concentrate his attention on what's happening here at home. Ironically, one of the purposes of that trip was to discuss trade policy with the Japanese, a trade policy that some believe is causing many of the problems we Americans face at home. According to the people that you will meet in tonight's report, Japan is mounting a carefully orchestrated attack on American industry, driving many American companies out of business and driving many Americans out of good jobs. It's an attack, say these experts, that few Americans understand, but they warn the ramifications for all of us are profound.
Fourth of July in the year of Desert Storm. The celebration America had been waiting for since Vietnam. The loudest applause this day was for the heroes of the Gulf War, the men and women who proved what everyone knew in their hearts, that Americans and American technology can't be beat, that America is still number one. But the victory in the Gulf helped disguise a disturbing fact about American power. The United States has been fighting another war, a war it wasn't ready for, a war that it is losing.
The Gulf War was showing off our smart bombs in order to disguise our dumb VCR.
Professor Chalmers Johnson from the University of California, San Diego, studies Japanese business.
We've been fighting against Karl Marx since the late 1940s. We got Karl Marx. He's dead. But some guys that weren't playing that game have blindsided both of us. I mean, the Cold War is over and Japan won.
特に沖縄から来た石はちょうどペリーの乗ってる船で、あれがケネディ芸術文化センターです。ワシントン DC が政治経済ばかりでなく、トーマス・ジェバソン記念館です。
Japan's success has made the Japanese America's wealthiest foreign visitors.
こちらがホワイトハウスと北側正面です。
They spend 7 times more than the average tourist. But what do they buy? This is the Capitol Boutique, a store just 2 blocks from the White House. Luke Sakaguchi opened it a year ago. The clientele is almost entirely Japanese tourists.
This is a Japanese custom. If we ever go abroad, we must buy souvenirs. Not a cheap one, nice one. Unfortunately, the people have only half an hour. It's a panic. It's a war.
The buying frenzy at the Capitol Boutique suggests one reason for the growing tension over the trade deficit with Japan. Japanese may visit America, but they don't buy American.
I see all these are imported goods, huh?
We have also the American goods as well. But unfortunately, we don't see many Americans. Jeans, you make nice jeans. We have a beautiful T-shirt from America.
To most Japanese, made in America simply means cheap.
If you make a better one, we like to buy, yes. But we just cannot find, yes.
If Japanese don't want to buy American, Americans are not reluctant to buy Japanese. 1 out of every 3 cars sold in America is Japanese. And that, along with the recession, spells big trouble for U.S. automakers. Chrysler Corporation has already lost more than $1 billion this year, and the trouble is likely to get much worse.
We believe in open markets. We believe in free trade.
Lee Iacocca is the chairman of Chrysler.
But the world has changed. There are a lot of guys that aren't playing by those rules, and we're getting our head handed to us. We're getting clobbered.
When automakers have trouble, so do the suppliers of steel, textiles, plastics, rubber, every basic industry in America. As the American car industry shrinks, auto parts makers must sell to other automakers. The most important are the Japanese.
We build fantastic parts that we sell all over the world. The U.S. sells $15 billion in auto parts to Germany, sophisticated countries, France, Italy. We can't sell any in Japan.
Why?
Say that, well, they claim our quality and costs aren't good enough. Well, if they're good enough for Mercedes, why the hell aren't they good enough for Toyota?
Early this year, Iacocca, along with the chairman of GM and Ford, went to the White House to ask for help against what they call unfair Japanese competition. Roger Porter is assistant to the president for economic and domestic policy.
The administration has no plans to assist a particular firm in any industry, whether it's Chrysler or anyone else.
In Washington, the guiding principle that shapes national economic policy is the separation of business and government. At the White House, it is close to a state religion. The administration believes that American business can fight foreign competition alone.
We have a history in this country of dynamic American entrepreneurs. It is something that I hope we never lose in this country. America is and has been, and I hope will always remain, a frontier of opportunity.
There was a time when American cars were the envy of the world. But today, the reputation for quality and reliability in the world market belongs to Japanese cars. The change represents the triumph of Japan's national industrial policy, which mandates that business and government work together for national objectives. For an American businessman facing Japanese competition, the results can be devastating. Al Pace found out the hard way.
They're working to a script we're not. We're an event and they're a blueprint. That's the difference between the two.
We're an event and they're a blueprint?
Certainly.
Al Pace was the president and owner of Variety Stamping, a supplier of auto parts to General Motors for 50 years. It was very much a family business. Wife Betty handled the books. Daughter Diane was the computer operator. Son Mark supervised production. They worked together every day until 2 years ago, when everything fell apart.
It's something I don't enjoy reliving. It just went from bad to worse. He had the hardest time. I mean, I think it all hit him. He just lost a part of himself. We all did, but more so Al, because that was his American dream.
I was born in Cleveland, educated in Cleveland, invested my money and my energy in Cleveland, and the proudest thing I did was that I employed Cleveland people. We had a reputation as a trouble-free source. We were the kind of people that you went to, and if we said it would be there, it was there.
Al Pace built Variety Stamping into a $25 million company with over 200 jobs. But there was a problem. General Motors' business was starting to shrink. If Variety was to keep growing, it would have to make parts for the only expanding market, the Japanese automakers who were building new plants across the Midwest. Al Pace went on the offensive. He even made a video in Japanese.
Variety Stamping Corporation のご案内を申し上げます。私が社長のアル・ペイスです。
It seemed to work. Honda Motor Company was under pressure to buy American parts for its new factory